The Fall Guy. All right, let's talk about how much this movie actually sucks. We're going to use my space system. So, story, pacing, artistry, characters, enjoyment. Each category gets a score between 0 and 2. There's going to be a 0, starting with the storyline. I'm going to give the storyline a big fat 0 because there is no storyline. This movie is a romantic comedy, and I'm saying that in air quotes because there's nothing romantic or funny about it. There's a lot of very cringy banter. If you like Ryan Gosling's, oh, I love you kind of, but I'm trying to be cute and funny and da-da-da. If you like that and you want to see that for 2 hours, this is the movie for you. If you want to see Emily Blunt just be kind of irritating for 2 hours, you can definitely watch this movie. It's definitely for you. There's about 1 hour of no storyline. The very loose idea is that he's a bounty hunter. Oh no, sorry, bounty hunter. That's the original Fall Guy. No, this Fall Guy's nothing. So he's a stunt man, and and there's gonna be some mild spoilers. Who cares? So he works for Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's kick-ass, and he's gonna be Craven the Hunter. I actually thought he was the best guy in the movie. He was the best character. I'll get to the characters. So he's like this Tom Cruise big guy, but he's kind of an arrogant ass, and I don't know, maybe Tom Cruise is like that too, I don't know. But he's an arrogant ass, and Emily Blunt's like a camera woman, and Ryan Gosling is his stuntman. So they gotta do this stunt. He breaks his back, and him and Emily Blunt love each other, and they're all googly-eyed over each other. And then he's out of commission for 18 months. Now during this 18 months, you're come to find out that Ryan Gosling did not actually communicate back with her. He didn't return her calls or something like that. He broke his back. I'm not sure what kind of level of commitment she was expecting during 18 months when she's filming movies and his back is broken, but somehow he is responsible for not keeping in touch with her. Let that sink in for a second. So if you broke your back, you broke your back. You can't move. And then your girlfriend is angry at you that you didn't keep in contact with her. Your back is broken. She could literally walk over, and how are you going to stop her? She can enter your house. How are you going to stop her from entering your house? Plus, she's working on movies. They're like 6-7 months shoots. When is she going? So it's possible she had 2 movies and they never saw them. So then when the actual story starts, Aaron Taylor Johnson kills someone in a party accidentally, and they need to blame someone for this killing or whatever. It's like they're wrestling and beating each other up, and then he kicks him through a table and he dies. And then he's like, "Oh, let's frame Ryan Gosling." And then he has to show that he's not the killer. Like if Tom Cruise was wrestling a stunt, it's the stuntman. It's Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's this Tom Cruise character, fighting a stuntman. So if Tom Cruise and his stunt double for Mission Impossible 14 or whatever they're on are having a scuffle at a party, and then the stuntman falls and dies, Tom Cruise is going to need to frame someone. He's just going to be like, "We were scuffling at the party. Shit happens. The guy died. That's it. Pay it off. Insurance. It's over." And it's going to be the news, and then there's going to be there's going to be all these Twitter comics. Tom Cruise is an asshole, and there's other people saying, "Well, you understand it." Alec Baldwin shot someone, in real life, not in a movie. He shot someone, and he's good. So I don't understand. This storyline is awful. So when the storyline starts, it's awful. So I'm giving it a friggin' 0. For the pacing, I'll give it a 0.5. The pacing, the first 20 minutes of this movie wasn't too bad. I'll get to the artistry. There were some clever things they were doing. And then the pacing became repetitive. It was like, so after the 18 months, they get back together on a movie. So it's her just trying to be like, "Oh, how come you left me and didn't contact me?" He's like, "Well, I was scared you wouldn't love me, whatever." So it's silly banter. I thought this is very cute little banter between them. Then there was a little action scene filming the movie. Then there was banter. And I'm like, we just had the same banter literally 5 minutes ago. Then there's 5 minutes of, something happens. Banter again. The same banter. It's unbelievable. Please, if you're still watching at 4 minutes or whatever this is, you have to believe me. It is just the same thing repeat. I'm like, we just had this scene, and then I'm like, it's the same thing. It's like they wanted to make it 2 hours, and they just took the first half an hour and said, oh, let's just take the first half an hour and repeat it again. There's no progression at all. The pacing's 0.5 because there's some action scenes, but even then, there's an action scene that looks pretty good, and you're getting into the flow of the action scene, and is now interrupted with Emily Blunt singing karaoke. I'm not joking. There's this big action scene where they're on this truck and they're carrying this thing, and the guy's like fighting on it, and there's a dog that's like biting people's like nuts and stuff, and you're like, oh my God. And then Ryan Gosling is thrown onto this thing. I was like, okay, it's getting good. It's getting good. Cut. She's singing some song. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Why are they cutting away to this? I guess it's supposed to be funny or cute. It's a romantic comedy. Who is this for? Is there many young girls who love Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling who are Fall Guy fans and want to see a bastardized version of it? I don't, like, who is the audience for this? Like, what do you want from this? I don't understand. Like, who's gonna be pumped up for this? Anyway, that's the pacing. 0.5. There are some interesting action bits. For the artistry, this will surprise you. I'm actually going to give it a 1.5. I would almost give it a 2. I'm not going to give it a 2 for one reason I'm going to tell you in a minute. But background music was pretty good. Some pretty good, that when the action is visible and you can see what's going on, it's actually shot very well. It's very clear. Some parts are at night, but it's very clear. So this movie, there's a big disappointment factor because the action bits, when they weren't cutting away to other nonsense, were really good. You can see that they really did put a lot of effort into the stunt coordination. And they show the stunt prior to the movie starting. The director and Ryan talk about it. In the end credits, they show the stunt guys and everything. So that's cool. It was really an homage to the stunt crew. And they said stunt crews weren't paid and all. That's true, but in Spy Smasher, the serial, the stunt people were paid more than the actors. So check that up. Spy Smasher. It's a black and white movie serial. I love serials. The stunt team on that was amazing, and they got paid more than the actors. So how you like them apples? Anyway, that looks good, but I can't give it a full 2. 2 reasons. Number 1, they use "I Was Made for Loving You" by Kiss. I love Kiss. They used it 400 times. I counted. It was literally 400 times in the movie. Like 100% 400 times. It's like every second. It's like, and then they would use different versions of it. You're like, what? Kiss has other songs. Or is Gene's holding on to those songs? No, I'm only giving you one. He gave that one to Burger King, didn't he? Wasn't Whopper "I Was Made for Loving You"? Like, really? And then at the very end credits, they had the Fall Guy theme song, which they bastardized to hell. I should give this entire film a 0 for bastardizing them. That song was all about hanging out with hot chicks, rolling cars, doing stunts, beating up guys, and then getting no credit for it. The entire premise of the Fall Guy theme song was to say, I'm the one, the stunt guy, who's unknown, who makes Redford, Clint Eastwood, Robert Redford, Clint Eastwood, makes these guys look good. I make them look good, and you don't know who I am. I'm hanging out with, he says, like Cheryl Tiegs, Farrah Fawcett, Bo Derek. He names all the girls. He's like, I'm hanging out with all these like really attractive women, 9s and 10s, you know, and then, but they don't end up as mine, right? And it's like, I risk my life and all this, and I get nothing for it. And when I wind up in the hay, it's only hay. That was a great song. First, I've memorized the song because I watched it so many times, but they bastardized it. So instead of saying, I'm the unknown stuntman that makes Eastwood look so fine, you know, or whatever, they say, I'm the unknown stuntman who will die to win your heart, or something like that. And I'm like, what? What did they say? I'm the unknown stuntman who will die to win your heart? I actually threw up in the cinema. It was very embarrassing. And then I threw up on my friends and the guy in front of me. I projectile vomited everywhere. It was really embarrassing. So thanks, guys, for making me throw up in public. It's terrible. But I'm not going to destroy the entire artistry section just for that bastardization of the song. Though, if someone says I'm giving this 0 out of 10 because they bastardized that song, I'm with you. Give it a 0. There's no point in arguing that. when the fight, there's a great fight scene in this club. They kind of make fun of John Wick a little bit by making it like they made it so neon that it's crazy neon. That was a good fight scene. The rest of it's fine. The characters, well, it's either going to be a 0 or a 0.5. I'm going to give it a 0.5 because I'm feeling awfully generous right now. I'm feeling very generous right now. I'm going to give it a 0.5. I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson was really funny. The only person who was funny. I actually like Ryan Gosling and I actually like Emily Blunt. The first 15-20 minutes I thought, well, this is kind of cute. It's, you know, and I thought, well, it's cute just to get it going. And then we're going to get into a pretty cool, fun movie. I don't know why it can't be fun or why it can't be, you know, like action, and like, why couldn't it be for everybody? They're trying to target women with this movie because you can tell the relationship with the characters. Like Ryan Gosling's always like, oh, I love you and I want to be with you. And she's like always like, you know, dominant. And I'm like, okay, this is a romantic comedy that's like heavy on the romantic comedy stupidness, which is like this, you know, the female fantasy of like, oh, this super hot guy wants me and all that. And he doesn't want anyone else, and he can get anyone else, but he doesn't want anyone else but me. And it doesn't work for the Fall Guy at all. Lee Majors was like a super macho man. It doesn't work in this concept. Why didn't they just make a movie called The Stuntman and say, oh, it's kind of a homage to Fall Guy, and then just do that? Why even bother making this? It's just so random. It gets old real fast. 15 minutes, by 1 hour, I was like, wow, this movie's lost me. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. So that's brutal. The enjoyment factor, I'm going to give it a 0.5. And the reason I'm giving it a 0.5 is that there was some clever things that were done with the concept. So firstly, there's a scene where Emily Blunt, now who's a director, she's walking around and saying, oh, I want this entire scene with like a few explosions, and I want it all in one take, and it's going to be crazy. And the guy's like, how can you do this in one take with all these explosions? And then he's like, by the way, we only have one explosion. And then while they're talking, an explosion happens. She's like, was that my one explosion? He's like, oh, crap. Well, maybe we have more. And then another explosion. And the comedy of that scene is that scene is in one take. And I don't know what she says. She's like, I want 3 or 4 explosions. And there were 3 or 4 explosions in that one take as they were talking. So I thought that's very clever. They do a split screen clever thing where she's like, oh, I was thinking about doing a split screen between the 2 lead characters. And then Ryan Gosling's like, I don't know if that'll work. And then the thing comes up, and then it's them split screening. And Ryan's like, well, it could work if it's done in an interesting way. And then they're doing the same thing while talking to each other. That was clever. So they put a little bit of thought into doing some clever things, but really not enough to make this really worth your time in any way. I'd skip this completely. It has nothing to do with the Fall Guy. He has a truck that has a similar color scheme. That's about it. I mean, it's just there. I don't know. So what did I give this? Oh, 3 out of 10. I didn't even add up the score. 3 out of 10. I'm giving it a 3 out of 10. That's hyper generous. Mostly due to the action bits that we did see and some of the clever techniques they used to portray some of the stuff. This was a slog, man. This was 2 hours and 6 minutes or something like that. Listen, if you watch my review and then you don't watch this movie, and this video is like 12 minutes or 13 minutes, and I just saved you 2 hours, you're welcome. Because this was just a train wreck, garbage dump fest. It's awful. 3 out of 10. Merry Christmas. That is the most generous review I've ever given to anything for the quality of what this crap is. So I thought this movie was not going to be that great. Didn't think it was going to be that bad, but it is that bad. So if you like my space system, please like the video. Please share it. If for no other reason than to warn people to not go see this. I saw it last night. I came home. I was so pissed off. I was like, I can't do a review right now because I'm going to come across as an asshole. I'm like, let me sleep on it and do it in the morning when I'm feeling better. So this is me feeling better about it. Anyway, yeah, it's awful. Please subscribe. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time.